You ever notice how some people seem stuck for years? Same job, same apartment, same excuses, and then suddenly everything changes. New career, better health, more confidence, a completely different life. Most people think it happened because of luck, but sometimes the entire transformation starts with something ridiculously small, like waking up at 5 a.m. This is the story of a man who had absolutely nothing. No degree, no money, no connections, no future he could believe in, until one decision changed everything. And what happened over the next 90 days completely rewired his life. Maybe yours too. Before we begin, I want you to answer something honestly. What time do you usually wake up? And do you feel like your life is moving forward or staying exactly the same? Comment below. I read every single one. Now listen carefully, because this story might hit harder than you expect. In a cold industrial town somewhere in America, there lived a 32-year-old man named Thomas. Every night at exactly 8 p.m., Thomas put on the same faded security uniform and walked to work. He worked overnight security at a massive warehouse near the highway, 12 hours a night, 6 days a week. By the time most people were waking up for breakfast, Thomas was dragging himself home completely exhausted. His apartment looked less like a home and more like survival. The ceiling leaked when it rained. The kitchen light flickered constantly. The heater barely worked during winter. He slept on a mattress directly on the floor because he couldn't afford a bed frame. And every month after paying rent and bills, he had almost nothing left. But money wasn't the thing destroying him. It was the feeling that his life was going nowhere. Every morning while walking home, he would pass coffee shops filled with people in business clothes, parents driving kids to school, construction workers joking with each other before shifts, young couples planning vacations. Meanwhile, Thomas felt invisible, like the world was moving forward without him. And the worst part? He wasn't lazy. That's what hurt the most. He worked hard. Harder than most people he knew. But somehow hard work alone wasn't changing anything. And deep down that terrified him. Because if hard work wasn't enough, then what was? One November morning changed everything. Thomas had just finished another exhausting shift when his phone rang. It was his younger sister. And the moment he answered, he knew something was wrong. Thomas's mum collapsed. His chest tightened instantly. She's in the hospital. For the next 3 hours, Thomas sat silently on a bus heading toward his hometown. No music, no scrolling, just fear. When he finally arrived at the small hospital, his mother looked weaker than he had ever seen her. Her hands trembled when she reached for his. The doctor explained she was physically exhausted. Years of stress, years of overworking, years of sacrificing everything just to survive. Thomas sat beside her bed quietly. Then she looked at him and whispered something that would stay in his head forever. "Please don't waste your whole life struggling like I did." That sentence broke something inside him. Not sadness, something deeper, a realization. Because for the first time, Thomas saw his future clearly. And it terrified him. He saw himself 20 years later, still tired, still broke, still surviving instead of living. That night after leaving the hospital, Thomas stood outside in the freezing early morning air. It was exactly 5 a.m. The streets were empty. No traffic, no noise, just silence. And for some reason, standing there in the dark before sunrise, he felt something strange. Peace. For the first time in years, his mind was quiet enough to think. And one thought kept repeating itself. There has to be another way. On the bus ride back home, something unexpected happened. A man in his 50s sat across from him. Clean suit, expensive watch, calm energy. Thomas recognized him immediately. Mr. Chun, a local businessman who owned several stores in town. Thomas couldn't understand why someone successful was riding a public bus at 6 in the morning. Finally, he asked him, "Sir, why are you awake this early?" Mr. Chun smiled. "Because these hours changed my life." Thomas frowned. "What do you mean?" Mr. Chun leaned back in his seat. Most people wake up and immediately react to life. Messages, work, stress, noise. But between 5 and 7 a.m., the world is quiet. That's when you build your future. Those words hit Thomas hard. Build your future. Not dream about it. Build it. Mr. Chun looked directly at him. "You work nights, don't you?" Thomas nodded. And when do you sleep? Usually 7 a.m. until afternoon. Mr. Chun shook his head slowly. You're living backwards. Then he said something Thomas would never forget. You spend all your energy helping someone else's business survive, but zero time building yourself. Silence. Because deep down, Thomas knew it was true. Before getting off the bus, Mr. Chun handed him a small card with his phone number written on it. If you're serious about changing your life, call me. But only if you're serious. Because discipline changes lives, motivation doesn't. The next morning, Thomas did something he had never done before. He set an alarm for 5 a.m., and when it went off, his entire body hated him. Every excuse appeared instantly. You're tired. Start tomorrow. 1 more hour won't matter. But then he remembered his mother lying in that hospital bed, and he got up. That morning became day 1, then day 2, then day 7. The first week felt brutal. Thomas could barely focus, but every morning from 5 to 6 a.m., he forced himself to learn. Excel, accounting basics, business software, free YouTube tutorials, free online courses, no excuses. Then from 6 to 7 a.m., Callie walked outside while the city slowly woke up. At first it felt pointless, but around day 20, something changed. His brain felt sharper, his body felt lighter, and for the first time in years, he felt control returning to his life. That's when he realized something powerful. Most people aren't destroyed because they lack talent. They're destroyed because they never create time to grow. Every hour of their life belongs to survival, and survival never creates freedom. By month 2, Thomas had completed multiple online certifications. He stopped wasting nights scrolling endlessly on his phone. He stopped complaining, stopped blaming life, stopped waiting for motivation. Instead, he built systems, and slowly, people noticed. Co-workers started asking why he looked different, more confident, more focused. Even his supervisor noticed. Then one night, Thomas did something unexpected. He created a simple spreadsheet system to organize warehouse inventory, something nobody else bothered fixing. When management saw it, they were shocked. Where did you learn this? Thomas smiled. I wake up at 5 a.m. 3 months later, Thomas was called into the office. His hands were shaking. He thought he was in trouble. Instead, his manager looked at him and said, "We're opening a position in accounting. Day shift, better hours, double the salary. And honestly, we think you earned it." Thomas couldn't speak. 90 days earlier, he was a burned-out night guard sleeping on a mattress on the floor. Now his entire future had changed, not because of luck, because he finally used his mornings to build instead of recover. 1 year later, Thomas had moved into a better apartment. His mother was receiving proper medical care. He had savings for the first time in his life, but the most important thing wasn't the money. It was who he became, disciplined, focused, confident. And every single morning, at exactly 5 a.m., his alarm still rang, not because he had to, because he understood something most people never learn. Success is not an event, it's a daily routine, a pattern, a lifestyle built quietly while everyone else is sleeping. So now let me ask you something. What could your life look like 90 days from now if you stopped wasting your mornings? If you spent just 2 focused hours building yourself every day, what changes could happen? New skill, new career, better body, better mindset, a completely different future. Because the truth is, your life usually doesn't change all at once. It changes in small invisible moments nobody claps for. 1 alarm clock, 1 early morning, 1 decision repeated long enough to become identity. So tonight, set the alarm. 5 a.m. Not next week, not someday, tomorrow. Because your future self is waiting on the other side of that alarm clock. And trust me, you don't want to keep them waiting forever.